everyone. Welcome to Wildlife Conversations. I'm your host, Jen Ritchie. Thank you for joining me tonight. And I want to give a little shout out to Robert's Camera and USEDPHOTOPRO for helping make this conversation possible. And I'm so excited to welcome my guest today, Dr. Rebecca Cliffe, or on Instagram, Becky.sloth. Most of you have probably heard of her or follow all her adventures. We've also seen her with Susie Esterhaus and follow along with her. And we've had Susie on the podcast and talked about Becky on the podcast then. So I think it's going to be a really fun night tonight. Everyone, Becky is a sloth scientist and conservationist, and also the founder and executive director of the Sloth Conservation Foundation. And we're going to learn so much tonight from her, and hopefully you'll have questions for her live. So please say hello to Becky in the chat. If you're here and you want to chat, you can say hi. Gwen is here from Pennsylvania. Hi, Jen and Rebecca from Phoenix, Arizona. Hi, Mike. Hi, Lucas from is that another one from Arizona? It is. A lot of Arizona people tonight. Hi, Elizabeth. Beth from New Hampshire. I know we had people that definitely love sloths, and my friend Danny was just in Costa Rica, and I think she maybe has been in contact with you, and she was wanting to see sloths. There she is. Hi, Danny. Hi, Jenny. Hi from Idaho. Hi, Jackie.
There's so many people.
I know. They're really fun. This is a really fun group of people. Hi, Audrey. They are so fun and kind. This is a great community. So I'm so glad you're joining us. If you want to,
happy to be here.
yeah. Oh, someone's saying I love sloths so much. Super big fan of your work, Becky. So lots of positive vibes here. And while you're all talking in the chat, I want to say also about Robert's Camera. We do have a new coupon code. I know I talk about the coupon code every week that's exclusively for us. We get 10% off select items, but we have a new coupon code because some scammers went and took our coupon code and started putting it all over other websites. So we've got a new one, and you can find that in the description of the podcast description on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and that's just exclusively for Wildlife Conversations. But Becky, I think as I said, I think I first saw you with Susie and you guys are so fun, all the behind the scenes. And then just started following your work over the last couple of years. And it's so fun to see your hilarious side and your scientist side and all the work that you're doing for sloths. So I just a genuine welcome, and it's a privilege to have you here tonight.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here. I'm always excited to chat about sloths with anyone willing to listen. So this is a good opportunity.
Yes, we are a bunch of wildlife weirdos and nerds. So, I mean, I was telling you that I don't know that I'll know all the scientist words. I have degrees in English, and so I don't know I've always known, but I read your books and I follow you. So I'm hoping that I can keep up.
You've done your homework.
I do my homework. I do my homework. Yeah. So I was reading your book that you wrote with Susie, Susie's children's book. We can do a little plug. The Adventures of Dr. Sloth. And I want to know how your love of science and animals started with a dead squirrel. Do you remember that story?
Right in there.
Right in there.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I grew up in Manchester in England, so it's like a concrete jungle. Definitely no sloths there. But I just loved animals since I was a little girl, and I'd go out into the woods behind my house and just live in my mind, pretending I was in the jungle. But yeah, there was one day, I think I was like 7, I found a dead squirrel, and I brought it home to my parents really proudly and demanded that my dad find out why it had died. So I wanted him to do like some sort of little like necropsy in the garage. Anyway, he was like, get that out the house. But it was like, she's gonna be a biologist. So yeah, I just loved animals. I started studying zoology at university, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I liked biology and animals, so zoology seemed the right path. And then I discovered sloths, and here we are.
Yeah. So what age were you when you first went to Costa Rica? Like 19? Was that right? Or right after?
Yeah. Just
Yeah. And
It was
so,
during college. Yeah, I was doing like a research placement between my second and my third year of college. So
okay, okay.
I came out to Costa Rica to yeah, for a 12-month like research placement, basically, where I had to do an intensive research project. And then I fell in love with sloths and I just never really left. Like I went back to graduate, but then I came straight back and just started my sloth journey.
That is so cool. I think a lot of times on this podcast, we talk about like finding that thing. Like a lot of us have found our niche or niche in wildlife photography and just like, it maybe took a little bit, but we can see the steps that got us there. But it's interesting that like sloths were the thing. And it's like your passion now, and now you're a leading expert on them and fighting for them. It's
Yeah,
so cool. But it takes a long time
I
to
didn't.
get to those places.
Yeah, and I didn't think that they'd be my thing. I never knew what a sloth was growing up, but I met one and like all the stars aligned. It was like
Hmm.
ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
I knew instantly that these animals are what I wanted to spend my life working to better understand and to protect because they were I don't people always ask me like why sloths and it's
Hmm.
quite hard to
Hmm.
figure it out, but it was like this perfect combination of I think biological weirdness, right? Because I'm a scientist at heart, so they're they're such strange animals and so poorly understood. So it sort of intrigued me, but then also this complete vulnerability because if you
Hmm.
ever, I don't know if anyone's ever met a sloth, but they
Some of
they
them
are
have.
so vulnerable to any type of change. You are, they have. Yeah, they can't adapt or change, or they can't run, you know,
Yeah.
escape any danger. So there's just so much vulnerability that I think
Yeah.
really sort of appealed to me. Yeah.
I learned so much just in your other book about sloths that I didn't know. I like when you're growing up and you think sloth, you think there's one kind, you know?
Hmm.
But there's so many different kinds in different regions, um and then just like all the tell us a few fun facts about sloths, because there's a lot of really interesting things like about the things that grow in their fur, the direction of their fur, the way they poop.
Yeah, so they spend up to 90% of their lives completely upside down, which is, it comes with a lot of problems that we don't initially think about. If we tried to stand on our heads for more than a few minutes, then we're going to start having problems. So they've got all these amazing, weird, and wonderful adaptations to living completely upside down. So,
Yeah,
like for example, their hair grows in the opposite direction to all other animals, and their stomach. So, firstly, the thing about sloths is that they are the slowest mammals on the planet, right?
right.
And that's not just the way they move. And they do move really slowly. Like everything a sloth does is slow. Like even when they blink, it's slow. It's fantastic. But everything internally moves slowly too. So they've got one of the slowest metabolic rates of any mammal. It's about 60% slower than it should be for an animal of their size. And it takes them about a month to digest a single leaf. So it's really fantastic. Their stomachs, they've got these big, full stomachs that weigh about 30% of their body weight, but they're just full of digesting leaves from the previous month. And yeah, they only poop once a week, and they do it climbing all the way down to the forest floor, where they dig a little hole, they poop, and they lose 30% of their body weight again when they poop, and then they climb back up the tree. And then they have a whole ecosystem of species living in their fur that are found nowhere else on the planet. Like there's
Yeah.
so many wild things going on with sloths. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so interesting to see all the like fungi and everything growing and the algae growing on their fur, and how there's a whole ecosystem going on, and also
Yeah.
how that helped them camouflage. That was really interesting to learn.
Yeah. So a lot of people think that sloths are dirty because they've got this, fungi and algae growing in their
Hmm.
hair and lots of insects living in the fur.
Hmm.
So initially we think like humans thought, oh, like, parasites, it's
Yeah.
gross, or that they're moldy. That was like a very common misconception is that
Yes.
sloths are moldy. But it's not. It's these species of algae and fungi that, yeah, grow nowhere else on the planet. They're unique to sloth fur, and it helps turn them green so that they because the hair, every hair on a sloth has got this really unique structure that's like, it's almost like a folded in half tube. And
Mm.
the algae grows down the middle of the hair.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, when they get wet in the rain, their fur turns green because the algae absorbs all of the moisture. And they blend in perfectly with the canopy. So they're just, yeah, fantastically adapted to survive in the jungle.
I was going to
Um,
say, because they don't have ways to fight back, really. That's their main mechanism, right? To blend in.
yeah, and it's genius because
Yes.
it seems stupid, right, to not be able to move quickly, but actually if you don't if your predators can't see you, then you never need to run away. So then you never need to worry about getting big muscles and, being
Right.
really fast and agile. You can just hide in plain sight, and then, everything feeds into that. Then they don't have to eat very much because they don't need that much energy, and they don't need to move that far because they're not eating very much. Like
Right.
the whole system all plays into each other, and yeah, and they end up surviving on very little. It's a perfect way
Right.
to live.
Yeah, sounds pretty nice. So how, when working with them and you're doing your research and how do you decide, oh man, it's such a big endeavor to take on. How do you decide to create the Sloth Conservation Foundation on your own? Because I know you were on your own for many years doing this.
Yeah, so I was doing science, only science to begin with. I was doing my research,
Hmm.
and I lived in the jungle for about 6 years by myself, just studying sloths,
Wow.
just really getting a baseline understanding of what they were doing. Um, it was after that I used that data to get my PhD, and then
Hmm.
excuse me. Um, and then after I was graduating with my PhD, it was kind of like, well, what's next? Because I can either go into academia, and get a job as a postdoc, sort of go down the more like conservation route and try and continue doing what I'm doing
Yes.
independently, which really there was no question. Like I knew I needed to be in the jungle. I knew I had so much still to learn, and also I'd learned so many ways that I knew I could help sloths, and I really
Right.
wanted to put that into action and not just be doing science and publishing science for the sake of it. I wanted to
Yes.
be, yeah, bridging that gap. So I started the nonprofit, and honestly, it's not glamorous. I Googled like, how do you start a nonprofit? And I
Yeah.
wrote the governing documents myself, and like I know, no, at the time, no idea what I was doing, but in
Mm.
I was
I, I
that
think
I
you're
did everything right, and it yeah, it's I think I could have.
I think you're breaking up just a little bit. We'll be patient.
Oh, do I have it? Have I lost you?
I think you're here, but there you are. There you are. You were frozen for a bit. You're back. Are you there? Yeah, our connection doesn't look too great, but yeah, you're there. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Sorry, it's the jungle Wi-Fi.
I know. It's okay. It's okay. We will make it through. We'll make it through.
Yeah.
But you were saying it wasn't glamorous. You did it all your own, filled out the paperwork on your own. I totally understand that. My husband has a PhD as well. And I've heard you say, like, did you want to keep
Yeah.
publishing or did you want to go actually do it? And that's what my husband did too. It was like, does he just want to stay in academia for academia's sake? Or do you want to go actually put things in process and actually help people or help animals, you know? And that's what he did well, I've totally lived that, and it's not glamorous. To start out on your own and do your own thing. But that's something I really admire about you and your social media is that you tell the truth about a lot of stuff. And I love that. I can relate to it. I can totally relate to just, yeah, I live in a college town and
Gets
like,
me in trouble.
yeah, I'm sure. How much trouble? I would always wonder that. How much trouble is she going to get in? But it's worth it. Someone has to say it. Someone has to say it. So, can
Yeah,
you
I
just tell,
agree. I agree.
yeah, can you tell everyone what we can call it Slow Co. So can you tell everyone the vision of Slow Co. and how many employees you have now? hope you can
Yeah,
hear.
so it's a conservation organization, so we're not a rescue center. Um, we're not, doing rehabilitation and things, but we are trying to prevent sloths from needing to be rescued. So we do a lot of work in the local communities here in Costa Rica, trying to promote coexistence. So trying to get people to maintain the connectivity of the rainforest, to give sloths safe ways to pass through urban areas. And we're also doing a lot of scientific research still. Looking at behavior and everything from genetics. We're separating species, looking at health in relation to habitat quality. So many things. It's grown so much that now we have a team of 13 full-time people in Costa Rica, about to be 14. And I find myself just managing a team of people these days. So
Right. Now you're a manager as well when you just want to do science. So now you have to manage a team and
uh,
human resources.
I just wanted to sign.
Well, you're making a difference for sure.
Yeah, it's like my goal for this year is actually to get back into science and to it's all part of navigating this growth curve of an organization too, is like, as a founder and a director, you end up doing everything a little bit, and then you have to start delegating those tasks and really sort of finding where I'm most effective, and I'm most effective in science and strategy. So
Yeah.
yeah, just getting that balance again is on the cards for this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense because you're growing and you're gonna have, you have to have things, growing pains, things to work out. But you have so many things going right now too that you need that help. But can you tell people a little bit about there are a lot of problems, but you're coming up with a lot of solutions. Like, can you tell people a little bit about the sloth backpacks and how you came up with that? I'm gonna show a picture
Right.
too. I'm gonna show one of Susie's pictures too.
Yeah, the sloth backpack. So um, one of the big problems with sloths is that they were so poorly studied,
Right.
because no one can see them, right? Like
Right.
you go into the jungle and you want to go and study sloths, but you can't see them because they're at the top of a tree, perfectly camouflaged. So we needed to find a way to be able to study them without watching them. And so we used data loggers
I'm
that
trying to find
record
it.
things like activity and got it.
I'm looking through. I'm
um,
looking through. It's hard to find the little backpack. But you keep talking. I'm sorry.
they, Yeah, they record everything from like movement, location to like even things like the height that the sloth is in the tree or the temperature of the place where the sloth is. That's me putting a backpack on a sloth,
Yeah.
actually. Um, and so, yeah, with the problem with having it on a collar, like most animals, you track them with collar attachments, is that the collar would spin round on the sloth. And so you never know which way it's facing up or down. So the backpack really helped because it allowed us to like put the data logger against the sloth's body so we could really understand movement. And yeah, that's become now, I started doing that when I was about 19, like right at the beginning. And that's
Wow.
still going on today. So it's become the longest sloth data set in existence. We've got about 94 sloths that we've monitored now as
Wow.
part of the project. So it's really helping us pull together all this information about exactly how they're living and how that's being affected by things like habitat disturbance and climate change, all sorts of different things. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's more of the science side. Another like one, probably our flagship project to actually help sloths is called Connected Gardens, which
Yes.
is exactly what it sounds like, which is where we're trying to get people with private properties in Costa Rica and in other places too now, but to really just think about maintaining the connectivity between the neighbors. So because for a sloth, if they can't run and they can't jump. So as soon as the canopy gets broken apart at all, the sloths get stuck. So
Hmm.
we're trying to make sure that the trees are all connecting, so
Mm-hmm.
connecting people's gardens.
Yes.
We do that through planting trees, but also through wildlife bridges, and they're so effective.
Yes.
Managed to reduce sloth conflict by about 82%
Oh,
in
wow.
projects operating. So it's really, really helping. It's like the difference between life and death for so many sloths.
Absolutely.
So
That's a big number.
it,
That's a big success. But I think I was listening to you say like there's not just the large scale deforestation, but these micro, you know, deforestations, but in the neighborhoods and things are really what also affect and are also the same kind of problem, a big problem as well. So
Yeah, like a lot of people think about the loss of tropical rainforests as
yes,
being clear-cut deforestation or, protected areas separated from each other by big distances. And that's a problem, don't get me
yes,
wrong. But for sloths, it doesn't have to be a big distance to be a problem. It can be a gap of 3 or 4 meters between two trees.
mm,
So we, I made up this word. It's called micro-fragmentation.
yeah,
Because you end up in a situation when you're dealing with sloths where you end up facing problems that no one has ever really thought about before because it doesn't really relate to any other species. I mean, maybe koalas, but you end up sort of be like finding problems to solutions to problems that no one's ever encountered. So
yeah.
um yeah, and we just started putting up these little very simple rope bridges, and loads of them. Like we've put up 378 of them now.
Oh, that's cool.
And planting trees, but only like, strategic locations where they restore the connectivity. And it just gives it really like it gives sloths like these ways of moving through urban areas and getting back to protected forests, and not getting trapped in these little pockets in people's
Yes,
gardens and things.
yes. I think I read that you said they were scared at first of the bridges.
Like a little tentative. Some, I
Yes.
mean, sloths, but the primates, the monkeys, no, the monkeys go straight on the bridges.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, "Woohoo."
Yeah.
The sloths maybe are smarter. They're thinking, "I need to check these things out first. Figure it out."
Tiny brains. I think that's the problem. The sloths are a little, I love them, but a little less smart, actually.
I was wondering, I was just trying to be nice. But really they don't they have their own little territory and they don't cover a lot of territory, right? They'll have unless they I thought it was really interesting that once they have a baby, they raise the baby for a year and then the mother moves on. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, that's very unusual for a mammal. So
Mm,
baby inherits mum's territory, but when they get to sexual maturity, the males will disperse. And this can be a short distance. It depends on the
mhm,
level of disturbance around them as we're discovering.
mhm,
But we've also had sloths disperse really far, like kilometers away. So
mm,
they can actually cover quite big distances. And looking at like things like home range size.
yeah,
Basically, the only result that we're finding is that it varies. Some sloths
yeah,
live in just one tree. Some sloths cover like 10 hectares as their home range. They vary so much between individuals.
yeah,
They're just really unpredictable animals, and I think that's part of what intrigued me to them in the first
yeah.
place.
It's like an endless study then. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're doing the Great Sloth Census. Is that right?
Yes, and it is a great undertaking.
I was gonna say.
We're trying to count sloths for the first time ever because no one has ever done a population count on sloths. So no one knows how many there are or how many there should be or how many there used to be. There's
Mhm,
no
mhm.
population trends. There's no
Wow.
accurate conservation assessments because we've got no data. So well, obviously, we're going to try and change that, but it's pretty
Yeah,
hard with a team of 13 to count sloths. So
yeah.
we are, yeah, systematically working through Costa Rica, trying to do
Wow.
these censuses and
Mm,
make a population estimate. It's
yeah,
a
and
challenge.
that takes people, drones, and a dog, right?
Yeah. So we have the people, and we have a drone with a thermal camera
Wow.
that we have to fly over the jungle, and that picks out the body temperature of the sloths. But you have to fly it before dawn because as soon as the sun comes up, the sloth's body temperature increases to a point you can't. It's indistinguishable.
Mhm.
So we have to do the drone before dawn, and then we go in with a detection dog that's trained to sniff out sloth poop. And then we go in with the humans who are trained to spot sloths. And between the three methods, we somehow come up with a a number of sloths living in a given area.
That is really interesting. I think you said you just lay there and wait for any kind of movement at all, like tiny. You're an expert probably at it at this
Yeah,
point.
well, that's when we're trying to track the sloths that have the loggers on, then we sort of scan the canopy
Mhm.
with the radio telemetry equipment, and we can narrow down like the a little area where the sloth probably is, but we don't know because it's really well camouflaged. So then we just have to lie there and wait
Yeah.
and see if it moves. So I've spent a lot of time just lying, staring at like birds' nests and coconuts and the stuff that's not. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So, what about you said that sometimes people think they're moldy, stinky, and there can be a misconception. And so the education you do in Costa Rica in schools, how do your teams do that? And how does it change things?
We can't really take so much credit for changing things ourselves, because what's actually really changed things is a cultural shift.
Mm,
Because historically, people thought of sloths as being associated with the deadly sin
mhm,
of the slothfulness, being lazy. So there was this very, very negative misconception about them. And then about 10 years ago, this changed because, you know, partly because of some viral YouTube videos and social media, and people began to love sloths, like obsessively love sloths.
mhm,
And those people started to travel to Costa Rica to see sloths. So then in the local communities, this began to change because people started to see that sloths are actually a benefit, and that people love them, and that they're not dirty and smelly and gross. And so actually that's had a much bigger impact than our education program has.
mm,
Although I will say our education program's helping, when you talk to children about sloths and show them what they're really like and teach them all these
mhm.
amazing facts, then they do fall in love with them very
Yeah,
quickly. But
yeah.
yeah, I think most people in the world are growing up knowing sloths
I think you're frozen one second, just a minute. We will get through this.
because of the internet.
There you are. Well, I know like my kids loved Zootopia and the sloth and that, you know, and that changes things when kids see
Yeah,
that and
that
fall in love
did
with
a
that.
lot for sloths.
Yeah, they still will do impressions of that and talk about that. And so, but, and I assume that ecotourism, they realize they can also make money, which can lead to, I know, you try to keep people from not holding sloths, getting selfies with sloths, things like that.
Yeah, because that's the other problem now, is that now that people are obsessively loving sloths, it's
Yes.
it's done it's done a lot of good, right? At least they're not being, persecuted for being a deadly sin. But now people are wanting to touch them and hold them, and that whenever there's a demand for that kind of thing, it always leads into exploitation, because
Yeah,
people realize that, in areas where they've had perhaps very little economic opportunities in the past, they suddenly have this opportunity to make money from sloths
yeah,
because people will pay to hold one. So
yeah,
understandably, you end up with a little bit of exploitation. So really it's about helping people in these communities and in these areas learn how they can benefit from sloths without harming them. And
yeah,
then also teaching tourists and people coming to Costa Rica that they shouldn't pay money for anything that's sort of exploitative.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think, well, there was a certain celebrity that was on talking about how she had one
Hmm.
at her birthday party, and that was everywhere for years. So you gotta undo a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I have mixed feeling about that because she
Yeah.
um, obviously helped throw sloths into the limelight, which again
Yes,
has done a lot of good, but also
yes.
it's done bad. So yeah.
Yeah, nobody hold them at your birthday party. We don't need to do that. We just need to love sloths and send money to Becky.
Get the
Okay.
sloth.
If you have questions for Becky, please put them in the Q&A. I'm sure you have lots of questions. I see lots of familiar names on here. And Trish says, I think you made the change through your humor and education. That's what she says.
Thank
So
you. It's really nice. Not sure it's entirely true, but thank you.
We all love watching you. It's fun. So in the next 10 years, what do you envision, or next 30 years? What is your big hope for sloths?
Oh, that's a hard question because
Yeah.
I get torn between like blind optimism of being like, oh, we could really take a project like Connected Gardens and scale it across
Mhm.
Costa Rica and across South America and really make this massive impact for sloths. And we could theoretically do that. But then on the other side, I also see how the world is going. And I
Right.
see the funding cuts and how difficult it is just to keep on operating right now. And my colleagues throughout the conservation world are like suffering. People are losing jobs and canceling projects and losing
Yes.
funding, and it's really quite terrifying. So we just try and focus on what we can do
Yes.
in our little corner of the world and keep on doing what we're doing. And also trying to diversify our funding a little bit because we have spent a lot of time and energy trying to get grant funding and government funding, and it just ends up draining things. And I think that conservationists, we have a role to get a little bit smarter and a little bit savvier in our fundraising, to find different ways of raising money to help our species that aren't just reliant on begging for grants and things.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, we're really trying to shift in that direction to try and create ways of generating income that are more flexible and can ultimately allow us to do more and reach further and protect more sloths.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the future's a hard one because it's so unpredictable, but yeah, really I'm just staying focused on our immediate little bubble and doing what we
Yeah.
can and hoping other
That
people
that
in
makes
other
that
parts of the world.
that makes a ton of sense though, because your small actionable steps add up and you look back and it is a big thing. You're doing so much. You have so many projects and a lot of research going on. And like the census, that's a big deal that you have to focus on daily. Yeah.
Yeah.
And someday it'll be
Yeah.
big.
It's a lot. Yeah, and I mean, looking back now I mean, Slow I founded it in 2017, so we're coming up to our 10-year anniversary, and
Yes.
every year has felt like like wading through mud. But
Yes.
it's now when I look back over the last 10 years, I'm like, wow, like how much have we achieved? How many sloths have we helped and lives
Yeah.
have we saved? And people have we helped because of everything that we've done. So yeah, it's just about keeping on going
Yeah. I love it. I'm gonna
and hoping for the best.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. My son just got a degree in a master's degree in environmental sciences and hydrology, and it's the same, like there's no jobs. So maybe someday the jobs and funding will come back.
Yeah.
But I was gonna ask you, like,
And with AI now,
oh yes, yes, it's very true. I was gonna ask you, just in light of what a
mm,
science-filled week this has been. Can you hear me? I'm not sure. I'm not
yep.
sure if you can. Okay, you can hear me. Okay. But just as what a science-filled week this has been, and we have our first woman going around the moon. And do you have any advice for little girls or young women that want to get into science?
Yeah, I love this question. Definitely. And I think, I know from when I was young, trying to get into this field, it was quite intimidating because there were, it's male dominated, firstly. And then also
Absolutely.
when you come out into the field, into these remote, rugged environments, it's quite difficult as a woman to
Yeah.
um, have the confidence to do that because it can be quite physically challenging and it can be quite like mentally and emotionally challenging. And so and there's also safety concerns of being a woman in these environments that are real and we have to consider. But also that it's possible. Anybody can do it. I was a girly girl, like in the city. I loved my hair straight. my little black dresses, and my manicures. But here I am in the jungle with, with
Mhm.
sticks in my hair and stuff. And anyone can do it. You don't have to be like a particular type of person to be a scientist or to be a conservationist. You can be a girly girl, or you can be anything you want to be, and still succeed in this field. All you need is passion and some determination. And yeah, just a bit of bravery to go outside the comfort zone. And here we are. So
That's
yeah,
right.
I love encouraging people to get into this and to overcome any mental barriers that they might have
Yeah.
in doing.
I live in a college town, Purdue University, and so, it's a huge space town and an engineering town, and so it's really neat to see so many young girls that are going into the STEM fields. And I mean, even this week I was like, should I go back and get a science degree? Like, it was that exciting, to watch all this happening. Like, do I need to do that? No, I don't need to do that, but it is so exciting to
Yeah.
watch everyone watch this week, and just so many women that we've been on this podcast and that we follow on Instagram that are just like doing what you're doing and out there making change. It's so fun. It's so fun to watch. I hope things are changing. It seems like they are, but
They are for sure.
yeah.
Now, more women than ever are entering this field. And right now, there's about 1 in 3 scientists are female right
Oh,
now.
wow. Mhm.
But what we're seeing is like a drop off as people get older. So you got a lot of women entering science, but not staying in the field.
Yeah.
But that's changing over time,
Yeah.
more and more people are sticking out and
Yeah. Yeah.
making it to the top. So yeah.
Yeah, and I know a lot of us that are in this community, a lot of us like found wildlife and this side of ourselves in our 40s and 50s. So like, you kind of come back around. You can come back around and do whatever you want. So,
Yeah.
but it does look like we have some questions. So
Yeah.
let's see what everybody's asking. Does Costa Rica have three-toed and four-toed sloths? I think there's two-fingered and three-fingered sloths, right?
Got it. Yeah. So they were historically called two-toed and three-toed, but we changed the name because
Yes.
all sloths have 3 toes. So it's very confusing. So yeah, they're two-fingered and the three-fingered sloths. And yes, we have both of them. So there's 7 types of species of sloth in total. We have 2 of those in Costa Rica, and the
Wow.
rest are in South America, and one of them in Panama. So
Yeah. And the pygmy sloths are so interesting looking. So
I
interesting.
know, I love them.
Danny Ocean says, yes, everything in me not to touch a sloth when we were so close. She was just there. And now I want to know what they feel like. So what does a sloth feel like?
Soft, infuriatingly soft because you're not allowed to talk.
Yeah.
A lot of people think they look they're gonna feel, rough and wiry, but they don't. They really take good care of their fur. They're very soft.
Yes, yes. And Andrea says, can you please talk more about the dog that is trained to help? How was the dog chosen? What skills were needed? And where was the dog from? What does it take to be a dog trainer at Sloco?
Ah, that's a loaded question. So the dog was a journey. I can't even begin to get into the dog journey, but it was something I wanted to do for a long time because it's one of the most accurate ways of finding sloths is by finding their poop. And so, yeah, we took a deep dive into the world of conservation dogs, which is a
Mm,
whole topic by itself. But
mhm.
basically, these dogs are it's not a specific breed or a specific type of dog. It's just got to be a dog with a specific personality, and that personality is obsessive and hyperactive and a nightmare to be around. So they make really bad pets. So energetic and so obsessive about toys. So
Yes, yes.
these dogs often end up in shelters and then end up being rescued because yeah, they're people often don't want them as pets. So um It was the dog that we ended up using was a dog that was rescued off the street in Costa Rica, but she was living with one of our existing team members anyway. And she checked all the boxes,
Mm-hmm.
completely obsessed with any sort of toy is like the main box. Um, and so we started doing tests with her, and yeah, she passed. And we used her for a long time. Now we don't use her so much because she started to get injuries.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, working dogs don't have the longest working life because it is quite a physical job. So
Yeah.
she's 8 years old now, and she's got some hip conditions where she injures herself quite frequently. So yeah, she still helps us out, but not as frequently anymore.
Yeah.
And we're thinking about, trying to get another dog in to replace her, but it is extraordinarily expensive to maintain training
Mm-hmm.
on these
Mm-hmm.
dogs. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's something that we're gonna think about depending on funding
Yeah.
availability in the future and see if
Yeah.
we can carry that aspect on and whether it's needed or whether we can do the census without it as well.
Right. Right. Okay, Jackie asked, do sloths have predators other than humans and loose dogs?
Yeah, I'm impressed, about the loose dogs. Yeah, so the natural predators are big cats, so like jaguars and ocelots,
Mhm.
pumas. And then birds of prey. So historically, the harpy eagle is their biggest predator, but there's no harpy eagles in Costa Rica anymore.
Okay, I was
But
wondering
the
about
other
that.
birds,
Okay, let's see. Next question. On a serious note, how can we ensure we are not adding to the detriment of the sloths when we are visiting Costa Rica? She says, I tried hard to find reputable places to visit for wildlife that didn't seem to be people taking sloths from the wild. So, how can we ensure you're not
Ooh.
adding to anything when you go?
So this is a hard one because
Mhm.
it's hard to know if they're being
Mhm.
taken from the wild. It's something we're actively trying to better understand. Because in some areas, what's happening, we call them green jails. It's where
Mhm.
people take sloths and put them in the garden of a hotel or a reserve, and the trees aren't connected to anything, so the sloths can't get out, but they're keeping them there and charging tourists to come on like sloth walks. And it
Mhm.
looks like the sloth is wild and free, but they're not. Um, but also equally, that does also naturally happen sometimes. Like here in the South Caribbean, it's normal to have a sloth in your garden in the tree. So it's very difficult to be able to say, oh, don't support that one, but do this one.
Right.
Um, so it, yeah, it's a really tough one to answer, actually. There's some notorious bad ones in
Mhm.
Costa Rica that we know of that are, sloth exploiters.
Mhm.
But a lot of the rescue centers and a lot of the places here actually do mean well, and they don't want to harm the sloths. And
Mhm.
so always using things like local tour guides is a really, really big one. And yeah, just fact checking and contact us. We'll tell you if they're
Oh,
good or
that's
not.
nice. That's good to know. That's good to know. Yeah. And people that listen to this podcast and here on here live, they really do care. Like they want to be ethical. And so I know they would want to know. What are three great points to say if someone says they're going to take their kids to the new sloth world in Florida?
I'm triggered.
Ah.
3 points to say, don't go, don't go, don't go. Um, they Otherworld are firstly not open yet, and we're trying to stop them from opening. So hopefully we're
Mhm.
never going to get to the point where this place opens. But yeah, they have taken the vast majority of their apparently 80 sloths now from the wild.
Oh, good.
Almost all of them have died. So that's why they're not open yet, because the sloths keep dying.
Oh,
And yeah, there's just some horrendous insider reports that we're getting coming out of that place about the conditions those sloths are being kept in, and
oh,
the greenwashing that's happening. It's dark, and there's going to be some press coming out about it soon, which I think is going to help to really educate people on that topic. But yeah, if you hear anyone talking about going to Sloth World, please ask them to just do a little bit of background research written some articles about it, and so yeah.
Okay. All right, next one. How are you finding local support for work, citizen scientists, neighbors, and are you able to gain more support from Costa Rican government? Is that beneficial? Have you been able to break ground on your new headquarters? That's a lot. How is the local
Yeah, I like
support
that.
and then your headquarters?
Local support's great, not financially, but
Yeah.
in terms of collaborating and becoming partners and helping to protect the sloths through their actions, local support's fantastic. People here in the Caribbean where we're based, there's not there's not a lot of income and the cost of living is very high. So financial support from community members isn't really anything that's viable in the long run. The Costa Rican government don't financially support us, and I doubt they will because there's a lot of funding cuts to conservation in Costa Rica happening right now. So yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. And the headquarters, we have broken ground. It's happening. So we have finally, after 10 years, we can move out of rented um
Yay.
for our yeah organization. So we have got the land. The construction permits are a few days away now. It's been about a 6-month process of trying to get the permits. And now those are coming through. So now it's just a case of starting construction, getting it built, and hopefully by the end of the year we're gonna be moving in, if not moved in.
That's very
Yay.
cool. Very cool. Yay. Yep. So they're asking, can you recommend a place in Costa Rica to see sloths ethically?
Yes. Come to Puerto Viejo in the South Caribbean, and we are launching sloth tours. So we're doing ethical sloth tours because there are none. So we are going to we're actually training local tour guides, and we are doing walks through the coastal areas where there's a really high density of sloths, and teaching people about them. You get to see the sloths that we're monitoring as part of our research. You get to
Mm-hmm.
see the wildlife bridges. And then also all of the proceeds from those tours are going back into restoring and reconnecting the habitat for sloths, as well as paying the guides fair wages. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
is the model that we're working on, and we're hoping to expand it across Costa Rica, but at the moment we're just in the South Caribbean.
Yeah, that's big news. So can they get that? Can they contact your website or through your website, or how do they do that?
Yeah, we'll be launching in May, so
Okay.
it'll be available on the website and we'll have links going out to it. But yeah, we're still just in the final training workshops for the guides right now, so
Yeah,
it'll be
yeah.
very
Well,
soon.
that's really big news, Becky, because I know people trust you and they want to be ethical, and so I can see that people would definitely want to come do that with you. So I'd be looking for that, everybody, in May. And I know people like plan their trips out like a year or two in advance, so you guys can be thinking of that as they open up those ethical tours. So also someone says there's so many, Becky. I'm just like trying to get them through the chat. Um, is there anything specific they can do to stop sloth world? Like, can they write letters? Can they repost things?
Reposting, and then honestly this seems small, but commenting on things. So writing reviews
Yes,
and commenting on social media posts, because this really is giving them a lot of negative press.
yes.
And a lot of people are actually outraged by it. And if you look at any of their social media posts, all the comments are people just like, don't visit this place, it's terrible. So it's really helping. So just spread the news. Tell
Yeah,
everyone don't visit there. Like, if you hear of anyone wanting to go there, yeah, just
yeah,
try and put them off.
yeah. That's great. That's a good job. I think can do that for sure. Everyone's always looking for a review or a comment that tells you what it's really like before you go, and so that's good. Well,
Mhm.
I wanted to show everybody your book one more time. So Sloth, Life in the Slow Lane. It was good. And the pictures are so good. They're by Susie Esterhaus. So they were really good. And then which you can go listen to her episode as well. That was a really good episode that we had. So such a poignant episode. And then The Adventures of Dr. Sloth. And I own both of these and read them, and they're really good. And I would encourage everybody to go get those books. And then another question, let's see. There were these green tubes in the trees I would see sloths eat or maybe drink from. Do you know what they are?
Yes, Cecropia pods. So I'm guessing this is what they were. So one of the sloth's favorite trees is called Cecropia, and they produce these long bean-like pods, and they look like tubes, and the sloths sort of eat them like a bunch of grapes.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
so I imagine that they're eating the Cecropia pods. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, we do a little speed round at the end. And so we can start the speed round. And if you have comments for Becky, you can put them in the chat. And I'm going to just continue with that. And if you have questions, I'll go back to them. But I'm going to ask first, what's an item you can't do without out in the field?
My binoculars.
Binoculars, yeah. And I also wanted you to tell everyone about your snake boots.
Good one, my snake boots. Yeah, I wear snake boots. Not as much as I should anymore, but yeah, they're to protect me from when I'm tromping through the jungle.
Yeah, because you're inside writing permits all the time and grants.
Yeah.
Traveling hours to get permits. If you could borrow one sloth trait for yourself, what would it be?
I wouldn't worry about the future.
Yeah.
Just live in the present and don't stress about anything that's not in your immediate bubble right now.
Yes, that would be very nice. That would be very nice. Out of all the sloths you've worked with, do you have a favorite or a special memory?
Like keeping between children. How could you do that?
I know, I know. Or a special
Um,
memory of one that stands out.
there's a sloth called Bojangles who's tattooed on my arm.
Aw.
Elder and Bojangles, yeah, they're the two of the sloths I very first worked with when I first started out. It's actually a sloth me and Susie saw just after she'd given birth, and she had this little baby, and yeah, it
Aw.
was cool.
And they can give
Hmm.
birth upside down while they're upside down.
Yes,
It's
yes,
so interesting. And
yeah,
I love how their organs are like they're like adhesive is like on their organ. I mean their organs are on their ribs. That's so
yeah.
interesting.
So the organs are all anchored against their ribs,
Yeah,
so that when they're upside down, that things don't move around.
it's so cool. And they have a lot of ribs.
Mhm. Yeah,
Remember
yeah,
that.
they've got a lot of ribs. And a lot
Yes.
of cervical vertebrae. Like three-fingered sloths have 9 cervical vertebrae in their neck, so more than
Wow.
any other animal.
Yes, it's so interesting. And they're just so unique. Um, what piece of advice would you give your younger self?
Um, to be brave, I think.
Mhm. Yeah.
To be brave and to jump in and chase those dreams because anything's possible when you're just brave enough to go after it, I think.
Yeah. And that was one of my questions for you. When was the time you were brave? But just doing that all on your own and just I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, I think being brave was sort of stepping away from conventional life and having a
Mhm.
career and like a salary or pension
Yes.
or insurance. Like just stepping away from that and going into the unknown.
Hmm.
Yeah, is
Hmm.
I think that's something that takes a little bit of bravery in itself, but is also very fulfilling. So no regrets.
I was gonna say, yeah, because you've been paving the way and you're now leader in the field of sloths. You're the leading expert. So that's very cool. And how those steps
Well,
like
we have
got
to
you to
hope this
here.
career pans out.
Okay, and then a time you laughed with Susie. We all love those too. Can you think of a time? Like so many
We laugh
times.
nonstop all the time. I could just like see her face on my phone and I laugh because she's so
It
funny.
is,
A specific time. Ah, you know what? I can't remember a specific time because
it's
we laugh. Our
always,
entire friendship has been based on laughter because like in the field it can be so hard and it's quite rare to find someone who can laugh through the hard times because it's the only thing that keeps us going. So we find joy and laughter in the most ridiculous situations, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. And
when
I think
everything's going wrong.
I think that's why people love following you guys when you're together. And we also can relate, being out in the wild and like whatever trips we're all taking, like we all know what it's like to like just laugh to almost pee in your pants and like just how tired you are. And so it's just fun to watch both of you. And you're not, I like how you're just not perfect for Instagram. You're real. And I think we need more real instead of just everybody being so perfect.
I agree. All these like perfectly curated videos. So I'm
Ugh,
like, no one actually looks like that.
no, no.
What do you?
No, and I can't look
Yeah,
like
we
that
always keep it
either.
real.
It's like I can't. It's just not when we're out in the wild, that's not what we look like. So I don't know. I think we have one more question and let's see what that is. There's a lot. Uh, what remote roles are usually open to volunteer at SLOCO if we cannot get to Costa Rica to help in person right now? Do you have any remote volunteering?
Nice. Thank
Very
you.
nice. Yeah.
It depends really on your skill set. You know, we're always open for remote help in every aspect of running an NGO. So whether it's
Yeah.
communications or marketing or financial advice or like anything that you have an expertise in or a skill set in or graphic design or like literally everything. We do everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you have a skill set that you think could be applied to what we do, then let's talk. Send us a message. And
Yeah.
yeah, love to have help.
Yeah, well, so many great people that are in this community, and I'm sure they'd have tons of skills to share, and they want to share, which is so cool. It's so cool. Well, Becky, we want to know what's coming up in 26 and 27 for you. What are your next plans? Just you're going to keep working
Big one
hard.
is the headquarters, so
Yes.
getting moved in, but we have a lot of yeah, a lot of really ambitious projects on the horizon. So really trying to turn our projects into something that can be scaled into other regions and creating partnerships with other organizations in other countries as well now is sort of where we're aiming towards to create impact in more areas.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, a lot of exciting science on the horizon. So not too much I can say about it because it's all a little hush hush, but a lot of
Oh,
exciting
that's
things happening.
fun.
It's yeah, new sloth species and all sorts. So there's a lot of
Ooh,
happening.
that's exciting. That's really exciting. Well, tell people where they can find you and follow you and support you so that we can hear this news and that people can volunteer, they can send money. Where can they find you?
Um, so our website's the best. It's slothconservation.org, and you can find out all of our information on there. Sign up for updates and adopt a sloth
Oh, yes, yes.
or whatever. Um, and then Instagram is where we publish most of our sort of up-to-date social media and stories of behind the scenes and things. And so yeah, if you're on Instagram and Facebook as well, then that's where we put a lot of
Yeah.
news and updates out as
Mhm.
well.
And so you're at becky.sloth.
Yeah, we're actually something that might be of interest is we're trying to, as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to get away from having to rely on grants and that sort of government funding side of things to get more sustainable financing for all of our projects. And one way we're trying to do that is to create this community of like VIP members
Hmm.
who just donate a little bit each month. And it's just a recurring donation. It's
Hmm.
$25 and you get access to like a lot of behind the scenes content and updates from ours and little exclusive perks that you get to vote on the name of different sloths that we're
Oh, that's
working with and
fun.
stuff. So if anyone wants to sort of make contributions and stuff, signing up for a regular donation is so impactful because it gives us stability and an ability to know that next month we're going to get a little donation.
That's
It
right.
really
Yeah.
builds up and adds up.
I was going to say, and it adds up. Yeah, that's great. Well, I really appreciate you being on. I'm so thankful to get to meet you and talk with you. I've been following along for a long time, and just wanted to meet you. And I've had your books for a while too, so I'm glad that we get to talk about sloths and talk about what you're doing. I'm just in awe of everything that you're doing. and how hard you're working. It's evident that you and your team are working so hard and that you're making a change. So thank you for all you're doing. And I know you all are glad she's here too. So if you want to say thank you to Becky in the chat, you can, and make sure you check her out. Make sure you follow her on Instagram and the Sloth Conservation Foundation, and make a donation if you want to buy the
Thank
book.
you so much. Yeah.
You're
It's been so
welcome.
nice to chat
Yes,
to
you're welcome. Now,
everyone.
people are
And
saying there, thank you for your time. And thank you, Becky and Jen. Thank you, guys. This is just the greatest community. I'm so thankful for them. Next week, we are going to have Vince Maidens on April 14th. We're going to chat a little bit. And then Brian Hill is going to be on April 21st. And I have people coming up in May, and Amy Vitale will be here in June. So I'm really excited about that too. I know, so excited. So many great people and women are coming on, and I'm just so blessed to have you all. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can follow me on Instagram at Jen L. Ritchie, or the podcast Wildlife Conversations Podcast. You can find us on YouTube at Jen Ritchie Photography, or Wildlife Conversations on Spotify and Apple. Say these things over and over again. But thank you so much, Becky. And I want to thank Robert's Camera and GURA Gear. And Becky, anytime you want to tell us new science or new things about sloths, you're welcome to come on anytime.
awesome. Thank you so much. It's been
Thank
so nice
you.
chatting with everyone.
Yes, it was great talking to you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Becky. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.